So we have a great panel. We have Mr. Ashwini Mehra, who's the DMD CDO from State Bank of India, the largest bank in the country. We have Mr. Sushil Munot, who's the CMD at Bank of Maharashtra. We have Mr. Amitabh Singh joining us. He's the general manager at ICICI Bank. We have Mrs. Rajkamal Vempati from, she's the head of HR at Axis Bank. Ms. Vibha Shukla, director and head of HR at SAB India Private Limited. And we'll get started with Mr. Mehra. As the HR head of the largest bank in the country, can you share some light on what is SBI doing on the topic of performance management, and what's the role that technology is playing in this change?
Thank you, Amit. Essentially, I'll give a small background to where we are now. For quite some time in the bank, we had a one-page appraisal which consisted of a number of parameters, 3 of them which were most important, and people got graded from excellent to below average, needs improvement. And there was one column where some general remarks were given by the supervisor, where he used all the superlatives and the adjectives that he knew. We found that we were not really able to differentiate between the people who were being rated. We decided that we'll come up with another system whereby we have 35 parameters and we start giving them marks which add up to 100. Maybe that will help us to differentiate. Invariably what's we've seen there is, and these marks were available to the person who was being reported upon to have a look. We found that in almost about 90% of the cases, people ended up getting 100, and we were not really able to do a differentiation, which possibly got forced only at the time when the promotion exercise was taken up, because we had to live with the reality of a pyramidal structure. Which is when we thought that about a couple of years back, we thought that we need to get out of this and see how we can leverage technology basically to give us a system whereby we are able to differentiate the performance of our officers as well as of the clerical staff. And to do that, the first thing we did was to drop all possible roles which are there. There are about over 800 roles. We divided them into 3 categories of budgetary, measurable and non-measurable. The budgetary and measurable roles sort of covered almost about 90% of the officers and the clerical staff. And we also found that from the system, almost about 51 systems were there from where data could be got for the budgetary roles. Budgetary, basically, our core banking was the main driver for the data. But for the other roles, we used our data warehouse portal as well as our business intelligence unit to get the data from about 51 odd systems which are there in the bank. From these, we started seeing how we could drop data to populate the key responsibility areas which had been earmarked for each and every one of the officials. So almost about, we've covered now about 1.7 lakh employees and officers, and we've have a library of almost about 5,000 odd KRAs, based on which almost about 70% of the weightage was given to their performance coming from the system. So that is how we in fact coined the slogan of "Aapki Unnati Aapke Haath." So they could based on their performance actually judge where they were standing vis-a-vis people who had similar roles. This is the first year, in fact 2015-16 was the first year of implementation. We have implemented this system. We've had our own challenges in terms of the technology, in terms of the dissemination of information right through the system, the level of communication that we required to make sure that everybody understood their responsibilities and what is in store for them under the new system, as well as also ensuring that this is seen more like a motivational exercise for people to try and improve on their performance in case they do not get a AAA or a AA or something like that. So the journey has just begun. We are still grappling with a fair number of challenges that we have, but maybe as the discussions goes on, I'll sort of touch upon those challenges. But yes, for the first time, we are seeing that yes, we are able to differentiate in the performance of our officers as well as of our award staff members. And there is a meaningful differentiation which is now coming out from the system. The bell curve that you mentioned, yes, we may not have a perfect bell curve, but yes, I think most organizations don't end up getting that. But definitely the differentiator that we have today is far, far more meaningful than what we have had in all these years earlier on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehra. So, Mr. Sushil Munot, as you hear Mr. Mehra, and he has many of the same constraints that you have in your bank. What is your sense of some of the challenges in facing and opportunities, facing banks as they think about this journey? How should especially public sector banks, overcome the traditional challenges that they've always felt on the topic of HR?
Well, first of all, I would say that in the public sector, one of the big advantages is that the HR person is always a business person. He may not know much of HR, but he does know business very well. And he is also a part of the corporate planning exercise most of the times. So that is one, but that makes a difference. But then that brings about the differences within the public sector system. And in IDBI, of course, we did one exercise on, again, like SBI had gone through, that on the finding out the various roles, seeing that defining those various roles and developing KRAs for them. And we had McKinsey in that as a partner in that. And we did develop, and we also worked on the bell curve, because we found that in public sector, the bell curve always starts from good, very good and excellent. There is nothing on the other side of it. So most of the times it is that way. So we tried to bring about an adjusted bell curve, saying that let us check out that each head of the department will normalize in his department what are the various reports which have come in. A committee would be there which will try to do it. So that is kind of system, like how some problem comes up, how do we handle it? But on the whole, let me say that the differentiation level is little low in terms of performance measurement. If there is a government guideline that earlier it was that minimum 60% has to be there if you can qualify for the promotions, then you will find most of the people getting above 60. When the guidelines changed and came up to 75%, that you have to have minimum 75%, then you will find larger number of people, almost everybody gets above 75, because everyone wants that at least it should be considered for promotion. That's why it has become a little less of a differentiator. Possibly because, to make it better, you must have a good carrot and a good stick approach. But since it is difficult to give much more of a carrot or much more of a stick, yes, things have changed, but now some incentive structures have come in within the public sector that 5 to 10% of your salary could be there as an incentive plan. And on the stick side, now a new thing which has come up from the government, that at the age of 50, if you feel that yes, the person has not been doing well, then you can think of retiring a person. Although these have not yet got implemented very widely, but yes, the things have started in that direction. So a process has started already, that to make the carrot and stick kind of a thing, so that you can have more differentiation, and more important, that yes, the differentiation needs to be made. But I am sure we will be able to handle this problem also. Like one example I'll give, just digressing a little bit, is in terms of even recruitment. Public sector is currently, there was a Supreme Court decision that you are not allowed to take up from campuses recruitment. And Dr. Rajan mentioned it yesterday in his speech that yes, they are not allowed to take up from the campuses. Now what has been the response? That the public sector decided that okay, we will have a written test, we will have an examination, but we are going to now do is that okay, 1 year they will go for a training program. They have to undergo that 1 year postgraduate diploma in banking and finance certificate, and then only join us. So this is one condition which has been put by many banks. Several banks of public sector have now got it done. And a person, even if we are not able to recruit from the campus, maybe I get the people and I can train them. They get trained on their own cost, and then they join us as a bank. So some sort of an improvement is there. Another thing which Dr. Rajan mentioned yesterday was that public sector now it tends to pay higher at the bottom and lower at the top. So at the bottom again, what he has made that experiment, that in RBI he said that yes, in the clerical thing also they are getting very good people, and they are giving them now a much better work. It means they can have much more intellectual work available to them, more analytical work being given to them. I think the same thing is happening in the public sector. Again, other banks also, like in our bank, we have recently come out with, in the class 3, that is the clerical cadre, we have like officers, people who are like having agricultural experience, BSc agriculture or something. So they can become agricultural clerk. Or they can have with legal background, so they can do on a legal side. Or they can get some training of 6 months again, and then join us. 6 months again, a postgraduate certificate course they do. So that kind of a thing we are trying at every stages. Yes, the challenges have been more, but I believe because of the challenges, the opportunities are also more. to make those changes like we have done in some of these areas. And I'm sure we'll be able to do it in these kind of segments also as more and more competitiveness happens in the sector. But yes, later we can go ahead with the questions and problems anywhere on it. I think that.
Thank you, sir. Amitabh, moving on to you. How has ICICI Bank, gone about creating the culture of, feedback? And if you can also touch upon, is the bank beginning to use analytics in HR and performance management, and how's the experience been?
So our experience at ICICI Bank is that initially to begin with, we have set some norms. And one of it is that we openly state that performance assessment will be a boss's call. So there will always be an amount of subjectivity involved, and you can never be 100% objective. Our job is to limit and minimize the subjectivity so that it's not ad hoc, but there will always be a 5 or 10% call which the boss will have. The second thing which you've said, this target setting, since you talked about it, Amit, is the target setting will always be top down. Because in my last 20 years of experience, I've never found any organization, including myself, where a boss and a subordinate will have an agreement on the targets. Boss will always think it's lowballed, and subordinate will always find that it's very stretched. So we said it'll always come top down. Of course, we are being realistic in terms of the way targets are done. So Amit, our key challenge has been that it's very easy to assess, or relatively easy to assess people in sales jobs or a branch manager, because you have numbers to talk about. And their feedback, assessment, comparative, I think every day there are loads of data which gets churned out by business intelligence unit, and everybody knows how they are doing on CASA, where are they doing on their fee income, how does it compare vis-a-vis everyone in that state, zone, country, and I think they get more data than what they should have. We spend enormous amount of time setting targets and making it transparent for people who are in the non-quantitative roles. So say somebody in risk, compliance, legal team. So we spend a lot of amount of time trying to look at their target setting and look at their alignment with the business goals. And then the other part where we've spent a lot of time is looking at or building analytics around people's performance. And a lot of work we've done in terms of removing bias. So there are series of some 12 bias checks which we do while the performance management is on. So when we started this journey around 5-6 years ago, we used to do all these checks. There could be bias around your transfer. So you moved during the year. There could be bias around your origin. So where do you come from? There could be bias around gender. There could be bias if a woman has taken maternity leave. So we know there are some 8-10 kind of biases which comes in. Till 6 years ago, we used to do it post-assessment and then try and correct. In the last 3 years, we get so much of real-time data that we do all these bias checks during the performance assessment itself. So moment a boss submits his rating, there is a system which checks saying that are these any kind of biases which has come in the assessment, and if there is one, immediately go back and correct the rating. We also do something called post-evaluation feedback. So once the entire ratings and everything is announced, we put up a call center which is manned by HR managers, wherein any employee can raise a concern. And if we find that there is the concern raised by an employee is valid, post-assessment, we go back and change the ratings. Over the last 3 years, we have seen that the number of such grievances and number of occasions where we have to intervene and try and change somebody's assessment has come down drastically. And basically, we are looking at that data to see if our bias check analytics is working. So we've been using BSC for some time. So we use a correlation data between a BSC score and performance rating. We find close to 95% confidence level as of now when we run analytics for people on the performance.
Thank you, Amitabh. Vibha, when we had connected, you mentioned that SAP is on a transformational journey with regards to performance management system. Would you share some details with us, and what are some of the things that you're most excited or worried about as the organization goes through this journey?
Absolutely, Amit. Thank you for the question. So before I start about what we are doing at SAP, a couple of comments about the performance appraisal system, so we call it. I've never come across an employee who comes and says, wow, my company has the best appraisal system in the world, right? And I'm sure I won't find anybody in this group here as well saying that. So what is important for an organization is, like Amit also mentioned, is that what is the need of the hour? And that would define the kind of performance appraisal system an organization has. And honestly, bell curve is, though employees refer, they still think at certain levels bell curve exists, but I don't think so in reality in any one of the companies today, they follow a perfect bell curve. Saying that, what we are doing at SAP, so what we are doing today at SAP is we are completely eliminating the performance ratings altogether. So we were at a stage where we had performance ratings, and also not just the managers were rating, but also we had normalization or a calibration process, where you are rated and then your performance is calibrated against the people in your department doing separate things and all that. And today we are moving where we are planning to eliminating the whole process altogether and eliminating ratings. We are doing it in a pilot phase, so we have taken cross-section of employees across geographies, across functions, and trying to do this. So what happens? And also a bit of background as to why we are moving in this direction. The reason why we are moving in this direction is because we believe that if we have hired an employee, the objective is to ensure that there is development opportunities. We are developing and giving everything to that employee to perform to the best, and also provide opportunities for innovation and trying out new things. Because what happens is, otherwise the employees are just working towards their own KPIs and goals and trying to compete with each other, rather than having a collaboration in the organization which leads to innovation. And being in the IT sector, I think innovation is extremely, extremely important for us. So what are we doing? So we are eliminating the performance rating, like I said, but we are actually we are doing something called the SAP Talk, where a manager has to sit down with the employee and have quarterly conversations, which is more focused about how the job is going, about development opportunities, what is the help which is required. And that whole conversation is captured in our success factor system. And we use it's in cloud and the HANA space which we have, and the system is intelligent enough to pick up the repetitive words and actually generate a summary out of it. So when you see your system, you can see the keywords which are being used, and it actually throws up as to whether, what are the areas of development and how is the overall relationship going on. So that is something which we are on the journey. What are some of the challenges what we face and some of the key concerns? One is, of course, doing it in various cultures. Training the managers to be at that level where you can give that sort of feedback, which is constructive. And so there's a long drawn process where we're going to put a lot of effort in training the managers, and also from the cultural change. We were sitting and we were discussing that in India, we are not that open with giving feedback, even at home, right? So we have to change that whole cultural mindset of the employees being able to receive the feedback with that trust, that this is happening for my well-being, and if I follow this, I will be doing better. And similarly for the managers to take it and give the feedback in a positive manner without offending the people. That is one of our biggest challenges which we would be going through. The other one is about how do you deal with low performance. When you have ratings captured in the system, it's very easy. We have our PIP processes and things like that, right? And you can give opportunities to that person to perform and then otherwise exit the organization. But now in this new concept where we are hand-holding and manager is the first point of contact and has to ensure development, how do you ensure that even the bottom performers start performing better? So I think these would be the top two challenges which we would go through.
Thank you, Vibha. Rajkamal, Axis Bank has been quite a unique story in the Indian banking industry, as we all know. Given its transformation from a public sector bank to public sector bank to a private sector bank. Can you share how does Axis Bank see this topic? What's the journey that the bank has been on?
So thank you, Amit, for asking the question. Before I jump straight into answering the question, I'd like to establish two myths. The first myth that we hear often is there's this term meritocracy. Employees and managers both seek meritocracy. And the reason I say it's myth is all of us as employees seek meritocracy, which is differentiation based on merit. But managers avoid meritocracy because it's the hardest job of being a manager. And I was hearing stories across my fellow panel members. They said we only have two definitions of merit, which is good and excellent. Or there are biases that creep in. Yes, differentiation is the hardest thing, and that is at the center of the conversation today, which is, it is the basis for any assessment, and why differentiation is required. We all know that differentiation is required, A, from a human motivation perspective, but the second reason also is very, very clear. Differentiation is required because there has to be some reward distribution process. And let me just take you through our journey, and we've had various phases of our entire journey of embedding meritocracy. At a point in time, we had 75% of the people, and this was a curve that was given, saying that 75% of the people could be given top 2 ratings. And the ask was, from the managers, would always be 95 to 98%. Every year, and successfully in the last, I would say, we looked at the data for last 20 years, every year, wherever even if there was a time when we had 95% of the people being assessed as in the top 2 ratings, the ask would be 98, 99%. There's always 50% extra aspiration to whatever you would decide as a curve. And that is the challenge and the paradox of whatever we were trying to embed, and I guess it's same in any organization. So my point is, for the managers, yes, it is the hardest job. But embedding that philosophy is also critical, especially when we were embarking on the cultural change. Before I continue, I will also like to talk about the second myth. All of us bankers love numbers a lot. And one of the things that we keep on talking about is that absolute assessment, which is if I get a score of 98, 99, that is fairer than assessing people relatively. And my fellow panel members again talked about budgetary versus non-budgetary roles, qualitative versus quantitative roles. Whatever name you may call it, if you look at it between absolute and relative assessment, our insight and our data also showed that actually, if you look at the budgetary roles, they're always differentiated. Unka to score subah sham every day ka hi chalta hai. But if you look at the qualitative roles, the dispersion is always narrow, and the scores for us also would end between 97 to 100 in most of the cases. And that's where when my branch staff, customer service officer would say, I got 99 and why am I a certain rating? If I get around 99, I should be the topmost rating. And if I look at the absolute versus relative paradigm, my argument has been the fact that relative is fairer, because if you do absolute, it promotes underachievement. And relative will at least spur you on to say, how do you know what targets are achievable or not? So let me, having established these two myths, which is relative is fairer, and the first is differentiation is the hardest job, let me take you through our journey of what we've tried to do. First of all, it's a journey. Differentiation never happens over a period of time, and I'm completely, I'm actually completely full of admiration of what SBI is trying to do and the kind of transformation it's undertaking. It's one of its kind, perhaps in the world. When we started the journey, as I said, we had 3 phases of embedding differentiation. We had an era where we had common reward system and very, very flat or a broad differentiation philosophy. Even the KRAs, we would have branch response, we would call it BRs, which is basic responsibilities along with KRA. So there was input and output kind of measures got mixed, which led to limited dispersion, and pretty much 75 to 80% of the people would get assessed in that manner. Then there was a second phase when we embedded meritocracy as a concept and tried to look at sharper differentiation. Narrowed the curves a little bit and said, okay, at least 45% of people should be in the, should be differentiated. The challenge remained the same. When you ask for 45, 65% would be the ask from managers. And that's, those 25 odd percent would be the cases which lead to the heartburn and the challenge. But nevertheless, when we did that, one of the things that we tried doing is, given the fact differentiation needs to have adequate rewards and rewards are finite, we started differentiating a bit on the promotion process, saying that if you get top 2 ratings, you will get promoted, say, in 3 years. And that is the first seed of thought that germinated in the high performers, because till then they would say ki the high performers, if I am doing well and somebody who's not doing so well, and we are both getting equal rewards, you know, where is the differentiation? Why should I be spurred on to do more? But the year that we did that promotion change and said, okay, we've got to ensure that there has to be some visible difference, and promotion was seen as the most visible difference of, performance differentiation. Still, you know, the average performer said, ठीक है, 1 साल wait कर लेंगे, कोई problem नहीं है. But the high performers started asking the question. And that was just germination of the thought of meritocracy. They're saying, we want meritocracy because after having worked so hard, if you have giving me only a accelerated growth of 1 year, is it really worth it? That leads me to the third phase, where we also started differentiating more on the variable pay and increments a little bit more sharply. Which leads me to the fourth phase. After having done this, there would be still questions being asked saying that how are you managing differentiation? Because one of the tags of differentiation is also this entire winners and losers. If I am a certain rating, will I never get promoted? And those are real questions that organizations have to answer, especially in the context that everybody knows that we don't give feedback on a real-time basis. So around this time, we've also now understood that yes, performance will be volatile. We can't codify and make it very, very algorithm-based, even the promotion process. What we have told people, and this is the current phase, what we are looking at, where we said that people will broadly be bucketed in pools, will be more inclusive, especially for the bottom-most performers. We will have window of possibility, which is if you've been assessed inadequate performance, you'll be given 6 months to rectify it on a stretch target. So that gives a lever for the manager to have the coaching, nurturing discussion, and if the person qualifies, fair enough, retrospectively the rating will change. But for the guys who are more for the officers who are more value in the valued performers category, we've linked a very important tool so as to make the performance conversation more future-centric, which is linked the training programs, skilling programs for the entire pool of merit pool people, and the officers who've consistently given high performance. We have tied up with the online universities for differentiated certification program. So through capability development programs, we are making it very, very development-centric, and we are calling it Accelerate, Access Capability Enhancement Program. The idea is to make it more positive, give it a spin, but more inclusive. Because I think the challenge for all of us, whether we have a system, we move away from rankings, ratings, etc., is how do you manage differentiation? Because differentiation will always remain. Managing differentiation, I think, is the, for us, has been the crux of the conversation. So the journey, as I would say, it's not been easy and it's not happened overnight. But once it got established, I think when people started asking, when employees started demanding, is when it got expedited. And which is where I think we are also very wary of making it too sharp. And one of the conversations that we keep on having with people is the entire concept of feedback. I think if managers care for their employees, they would have more candid feedback. And that's the element of care that we need to demonstrate through and through.
Thank you very much.